All right, here we go. Hey, Josh Ruiz, welcome back to the MVP How to Become More podcast. I got my man Francois Lepien, and we have a special guest lined up today with this is Ryan Kimler. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So, Francois, we were just talking with Ryan beforehand. He's out of Missouri, and you said that was the Show Me State?
Is that the Show Me State, Missouri?
It is, yeah.
There you go. Show Me State. So
Awesome.
now you got to show us.
Yeah, what do you got to show us today, Ryan?
Oh, that's a great question. Let's see. I could probably show you some cool tricks around how to make some more profit in your business. I think that'd be a pretty cool thing to show.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And that's a great way to segue right into to what you do. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business and how you help entrepreneurs.
Sure, absolutely. So I have a background in accounting and finance, and I help business owners typically, build a financial dashboard out. Most entrepreneurs, most business owners, small business owners especially, don't have any kind of financial scoreboard. And I always like to say, how do you know if you're winning the game if you don't know the score, right? And that scoreboard should revolve around, your important numbers, and it shouldn't be overwhelming. It shouldn't be like, well, these are the 50 numbers that I have to look at every month. No, it's let's get this thing down to like 10 numbers. Like if I could get it down to 10 numbers that you could use to run your business, have more profit, more cash flow, what are those 10 numbers going to look like, and what's that scoreboard going to look like? And that's really what I do. Part of what I do to help business owners see what's working in their business and what's not working in their business. And then once we have that scoreboard up and running, then we know the areas that we need to dive in and really go make some fixes, right? There's going to be a couple numbers that are probably way off from where they need to be, way off from where you want them to be for where you're heading. And so then we'll put together an action plan and put together a forecast for how your business will change once you change those numbers. And that action plan really gives the business owner direction and next best steps to do over the next 30 days. So I say all that to come to really that's the position of what a CFO does for a business.
So you're like a financial doctor. And one thing that I really liked is that for medicine, they say that prescription without analysis is like malpractice. So
Yep.
you build that scoreboard or dashboard, then you have those 10 important numbers. You find out where the boo-boo is, and then you offer some solutions. You just don't come in like a bull in a china shop and trying to change everything, but rather let the facts dictate what you do. I like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And actually, I definitely hear what you're saying there, Francois. I mean, there's a lot of consultants out there that they come in and they make change just to kind of make change to make it seem like things are happening. And I actually try to change as little as possible. Running a business is so hectic already, or can be hectic. I like to change as little as possible and only change what we need to really move the needle forward.
That's awesome.
I like that.
I like that as well. And talk about the entrepreneurs and getting fired up. It's pretty much the same thing that we're doing. Sometimes people, as you say, it's such a hectic world to be in the business, but then we need to tweak some things, and the things that I say, what is it called? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So let's focus on that and then get it rolling. And then maybe we fine tune later on, but let's get the thing rolling smoothly prior to, throwing the baby with the bad water. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, for
Cool.
sure.
Right
What
on.
is your niche market? Do you have a niche market that you go after, Ryan, as far as industry?
Yep, sure. So I am in the law firm space a lot. Kind of got into that by started out doing CLEs, which is continuing legal education, which is required for attorneys. They have to have those in order to keep their license every year.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for me, and most of those CLEs are around the law, right? And learning more about the law and compliance and ethics. And so when I kind of hit that space and started bringing financial education and it qualified as a CLE, it's different from what most CLEs give attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really a win-win, bringing, some financial education, because attorneys, they don't go through business school typically. Law school doesn't necessarily prepare them to run a business. And so that has hit really well for me. But really any service-based business that, typically they're between about $500,000 in revenue and about 5 million. So they're a smaller business. You think about $1 million business, and if they wanted to go get a CFO full time, probably cost them $150,000 plus benefits and all that kind of stuff on top of that. You're talking 10 or 15% of revenue on one employee. You can't do it.
Yeah.
And so, those smaller, I mean, even 2 million, right? I mean, you don't want an employee that's 7.5% of revenue, right? So those smaller businesses, they can start working with me and it's a fraction of the cost of what it would be hiring someone full time. But they still get, Francois, as you were alluding to, they still get the diagnosis, right? And they still get, prescribed what they need to do to improve their business. And we dive into what's not going right. And so there's still a lot of value to be had there, even only working with me, part-time, but to give them financial direction when a lot of entrepreneurs aren't necessarily financial experts in the space. That's not their expertise, not their craft.
I like one thing you said. We were joking about fractional CFO. I said, does that hurt to be fractional? but one of the things is I like for you to touch and expand for our listeners' understanding. So instead of having a full-time CFO, you can have a fractional CFO, and therefore that dashboard or scoreboard that you're talking about is not having a red light as to some major expenses on one thing. But what is the difference between having someone that's full-time and someone that's fractional like that? And what's the benefit of the fractional?
Sure, absolutely. So there's a couple things that I want to address there actually first. And the first thing is terminology. So fractional CFO gets thrown around a lot out there in the marketplace.
Okay.
And as a business owner, you have to be very careful because sometimes fractional CFOs, all they're brought in to do is solve a problem, and then they're gone and you don't work with them any longer. So they'll be brought in on a contract, they'll solve your issue and then they're gone. What I'm doing, I like to use the term outside CFO because I'm not hired in-house. But what we do when we work with clients is it's more of a guide service. It's an ongoing service. We've had clients work with us for many years in a row, right? So it's not just I'm there to solve a problem and then I'm gone. Well, I continue to work with you, continue to guide you. So that's important to address that's out there in the marketplace. So sometimes when you say fractional CFO, it's a contract. They come in, they solve a problem, and they're gone. And that's not how I operate.
So therefore, you like relationships and building something, not just coming hit and miss, but building something, fixing something, and then making sure that it smoothly continues to be in the direction that you set it. It's not going to fall apart.
Absolutely. And it's not uncommon to have a fractional CFO come in, they solve your problem, and then a couple months down the road you have a completely different problem, right? And so working with me ongoing, we're going to address whatever issue or whatever challenge you're facing. But to get back to your question, benefits of working with me part-time to start out with is we can start to put in place the financial operations that need to take place in your business so you can continue to scale and continue to get bigger. And then when you get to a revenue level, 5-6 million is typically where I transition out, because at that point, when you get that large, it really does benefit you to have someone full-time in-house. They're going to help you with the larger overall strategy, right? You're probably thinking about taking on some more capital at that point. Possibly they're going to help you with that process. They're really a strategic leader in your business that oversees the finances. And it really brings a lot of value to have someone in-house when you get to that point.
That's it. When you're solid, when you're built, when it's going. And so you're the ones that helped it. And I'm sure that I hit a lot on that financial dashboard or scoreboard. That must be the best indicator of where we need to go. And as you being partnered with them, you can monitor what's going on. Says, hey, this is going down south now. We need to do something about it. Hey, this one is cementing well. Let's continue to do what we're doing. So that's
absolutely. Yeah. The scoreboard really helps prevent surprises, really helps prevent, financial, surprises or financial hardship, really. Because if we've got a number that's trending the wrong way, like you're saying, we're going to know it, and we're going to go take action to turn that number around. And so it really prevents financial surprises.
I'm guilty of that. I got the shoebox mentality. I put the receipts in the shoebox, and then I got my QuickBooks, and I got QuickBooks, man. I'm okay. But it seems that QuickBooks is just like maybe the tip of the iceberg, and there might be some underlying bobos or things that are not that I'm not seeing, but that a scoreboard can help us identify. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and you know what it comes back to, Francois, too, is again, we think in images, right? And everything kind of comes back to the mentality and the mind frame of everything, right? And by putting it into the frame of mind of dashboard, scoreboard, right? Like we can picture that, and we can outline what we're looking at, right? What we're going to see and where we need to be. And when you have that, repeated on the mind, you have a clear picture, and then you can break down goals and a strategy and go from there, which is what I love. All of this stuff, it just continues to tie back together. And just to kind of give you a little insight, Ryan, Francois is the How to Become More. He's the mindset coach, right? So we're studying this thinking and the results stuff, and all of it goes back to the secret genie, which is where you think an image, right? Everything we do, produces an image, and when you utilize that, it expands your mind, right?
Yep.
And it just ties to everything together. So,
and that good thing is that your scoreboard creates the image, and it's not fake. It's the pulse of what's going on. So
right.
Now that you have it, you might literally, that's what most people do. If it starts to go into red, you're trying to ignore it. But as a CFO, he says, no. We need to look at this. This is something that needs to be done. And I think you touched on something right in the beginning, is we're so busy as entrepreneurs that we can't do everything. And so we need to outsource. And the day we start to outsource is when the business starts to grow. And that CFO role that you're talking about, the dashboard, seems pretty cool. But let's jump onto another question. What gets you fired up as an entrepreneur? Why did you decide, Ryan, to become an entrepreneur?
Sure. So for me, what really gets me fired up is helping other business owners. Really, I mean, that's what it comes down to. There's, I do a lot of work, not face-to-face with business owners, right? On the back end, to really do all the analysis and come up with the forecast and really see where the business is going and build out that dashboard. But the part that I enjoy most is every month when I have a 1-hour call with my clients. That, without a doubt, is my favorite part of the job. Or favorite part of the business, whatever you want to call it. Stepping in and helping somebody where they don't have a strength. I just, I guess I could just feel like that's the right thing to do, right? I mean, like you're talking about, I outsource and have hired coaches to help me in marketing and sales, because marketing and sales is not my strength, right? And I feel like most business owners fall on one side or the other. You're either into the numbers and you're into the accounting, or you're into the sales, right? And marketing kind of goes along with sales, right? And so I feel like, helping people out where, if finances is not their strength, I feel like it's the right thing to do. And that's really what fires me up. And it helps business owners, really achieve their goals, achieve their dreams and their desires and where they're going. And I'm just a small part in it that help them get to where they want to be. I mean, that's impactful and powerful for me.
That's awesome. So you're heart-centered and service-driven. And that's some of the things that Josh and I know to get into our world. That's what needs to happen. If it's only money hungry and numbers for business sake, there has to be some heart, serve, and then service that needs to happen, because that's the sort of the magic sauce that makes everything flourish long term. Because otherwise, if you're just about numbers, after a while, numbers and numbers, you're gonna climb up that ladder, and then when you get to the top of that roof, you realize you're on the wrong building and have to come back down and do something else somewhere else. So having the heart-centered, service-driven aspect is absolutely great. Any thoughts on that, Josh?
No, I love that. And you know what? I had been taking some notes here, and I even had noted before that I said heavy service orientation, because I've talked to some other people in the whole fractional space. And, like Ryan said initially, they go in for a specific key result area and they achieve that, or they provide a solution for that, and then they're gone, right? But I think he is really serving his own niche, if you will, by having that service aspect, on there. And in business, right? If you can keep somebody recurring on their payment, right? That's business and revenue for you as a business, right? Itself, right? And it pays for a business owner to use somebody like you in their, that criteria that you mentioned, because you're going to help them be more profitable, right? And that's what I love about business and entrepreneurship and bringing everybody together. We all win when we unite and we're able to network and,
Absolutely.
and grow our fanship and do what we're doing right here. So this is another classic example of why the show exists and why I'm fired up to have folks like you on here, Ryan, and my co-host here, Francois. Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what's the big challenge that you have faced in your professional life? And how did you overcome it?
Yeah, for sure. So back when I was working corporate, I was at a pretty large company, pretty good size, about $100 million in revenue. Business was absolutely flooded with debt. And I was brought in to help manage their financial situation. And Francois, there were days that we literally only had enough cash because the bank had not posted some transactions yet. Literally we had cash by hours, right? When I start working with business owners, one of the first things that I look at is, how many months of operating expenses do you have in the bank account? What is your security blanket, right? If sales stop today, how long are you still in business?
Some people will be a week.
That's correct. Some people would be a week. Some people when I start, they've got 10 or 12 months. That's rare. I've seen one business that had 10 months of cash flow when I started with them.
Wow.
Most are 3 months or less. And my big goal is to grow them to at least 6 months. So when we started, we didn't even have a day of cash, right? If some deposit didn't hit the bank on time, if we didn't get money to the bank on time, we literally would have been out of money, right? So that was probably the biggest challenge that I faced in my professional career so far, was just, the daily management of it really, really stressed me out, probably shaved some years off my life, if I'm being honest. But we managed, we got through it. We made some changes, and, through that situation, really, really learned about managing cash flow, and how much debt really takes away from your cash flow, that most business owners don't see. Because when you're paying back debt, it doesn't show up on your profit and loss. And so you could have a positive net profit, and let's just say it's $10,000, but let's say you paid back $12,000 in debt. Well, cash flow wise, you're negative $2,000, right? That's $2,000 out of your bank account. So I learned a lot through that experience. Wouldn't trade it for anything, but definitely highly stressful situation for sure.
So go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say, so what was the outcome? You guys were able to turn them around, and before you left, you had an upward track, or how does it end?
Yeah, we definitely, when I did leave, they had an upward track. One of the things we had to change was just how much the owners were taking out of the business. We had to cut back on that, cut back on distributions, had to cut back on some expenses as well. But then, yes, overall, they were on an upward track. And I think it was in 2 years after I had left, one of their loans was going to be paid off, which was going to relieve some pressure as well. So definitely left it on a positive. And we did, extend cash out to where we had a couple weeks by the time that I had left. But a lot of it, we had to make some changes for sure. So
question on that situation. Did you feel, and I'm just shooting in the dark here, when you were in a big corporate situation and you were helping as many people have, so to speak, their fingers in the pot, and so you have some ideas that can be fruitful, but some of the people slam the brakes on those ideas and it slows down the process. Was that one of the major contributors to saying, hey, we don't need to have so many people, therefore having one person that's educated, obviously, that can make a decision, and even becoming a fractional CFO can not incur the expense to the company, but yet help them to regulate all this thing in a faster way. Like I call it like a speedboat instead of the what's it called? Those cruise ship. Those cruise ship, they're great, but they can't turn on a dime. The small ones just can go. So can you enlighten us on the benefits of that?
Yeah, totally hear what you're saying there. And this business was definitely a cruise ship, right? I mean, you're talking $100 million in revenue is not small. It did take them a while to change direction, if you will. And as you're saying, also, yes, there was a lot of pieces, a lot of components to the end result, right? A lot of people that did have their hand in the pot, and managing that and working with those people was also some skills that I learned along the way too, of how to work with those people and get us headed in the right direction. When you're small, like you say, it's easy. It's a lot easier to pivot, right?
So therefore, your 500,000 to 5 million is a smaller business. So you set yourself up where you can make the biggest impact the fastest.
Absolutely. Yeah. And pivot really fast. And, one of the other really, really critical things of what I do is delegation, right? So a lot of times I'll be working with a business owner. We'll have a number that's red on the scoreboard. We'll put together an action plan of, okay, here are the things that need to happen and need to be changed in order for that number to get better. And a lot of times what I see is the business owner will want to dive right in and take care of it themselves, right? But at the same time, usually it's not their job, right? It's not their hat to wear, right? And they've got staff that should be responsible. And so one of the things that my action plan does, that's part of it, is, yes, we're going to set next steps for what needs to happen, but we're also really going to talk through who's responsible for this, right? And what due date we want them to have it done by, right? Because it's not all on the owner. It's not all on the CEO. And something like, well, hey, maybe this is something really, really simple, but maybe our accounts receivable balances are going up. Maybe the customers that owe us money, those balances are going up, and we're not really getting the cash flow in that we want to be in it. And that's out of target, right? And maybe it's red. Having a business owner sit on the phone and call customers to collect payments is not the best use of their time, right? That really needs to be assigned to your AR or your accountant, right? And those are the kind of things that we're going to work through. But you would be surprised. I mean, there are business owners that just want to dive in, want to do the action to make the changes, and it's just not the best use of their time.
And you understand, because it's their baby.
Yep.
It's their baby. You want it to live and to grow and to wow. So but very smart to tell people, hey, you want to grow, you need to delegate. Right on.
If you don't, you'll be a bottleneck. I mean, really, if you're not willing to delegate and hire some of your tasks, let someone else take care of it, you're going to end up wearing too many hats and be stuck.
Yeah. And, people have to realize too, and I've seen a lot of business owners, same scenario as what you just described, Ryan. They want to do everything themselves, but you have to understand that wherever your future lies, if your goal is to grow and expand, it requires a team. It's beyond yourself, beyond any single individual out there, right? I don't care what it is or how talented you are. You can only do so much as an individual, and that's where teams compound, right? 1 and 1 is not 2, it's 11, right? Because it compounds, the force behind it, right? Absolutely. Right, Francois?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it. Indeed. All right.
Indeed. I like one of the things I wanted to touch on. You mentioned that you would want to teleport. Are you talking about like one of those hovercraft things, Ryan?
No, if I
superpower you're talking about, right?
Yeah. We asked Ryan about a superpower.
If I could have a superpower, like I would want to be able to just like snap my fingers. Like if I want to go to LA, just bam, at St. Louis to LA. That's what I would want to be able to do, or Chicago or wherever, right? Cut down save a lot of time on travel. And it'd be cool to just, if you wanted to go to Paris one night, bam, let's go to Paris. Let's see it, right?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool indeed. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I have 6 kids. I have one in Hawaii, one in Arizona, one in Utah, one in Windsor, and they're all like hours of flights away.
Yep.
So that'd be fantastic. I love that. Teleport.
That is a great idea. So Ryan, to kind of close it out here, what's the plan and what's the future for your firm, and like what do you plan to do with that? Are you trying to branch out, or tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So by the end of this year, I'll be hiring my first CFO to bring on and help me because I am going to surpass my own capacity. But definitely have plans to continue scaling, continue growing, continue to help more businesses. Probably, my goal eventually is to have a $1 million firm.
Nice.
And that's an annual goal. But then, eventually just probably maybe even have some conferences for business owners to show up to as well, that they could show up to with probably their accountant or their financial professional, that they could leave a weekend and really have some systems to change their business. I think that would be really impactful for me because I can only help so many business owners at one time, and so that's definitely why I want to keep growing the business. And I'm not looking to do it crazy fast or take on crazy debt or anything like that, but I just slow and steady wins the race, and just want to keep going. Like I said, keep adding CFOs and keep marketing and working and helping more businesses.
That's awesome. Are you do you have any geographical restrictions for what you do, or
I don't know. That's a great question. I work coast to coast. Most of the clients and business owners that I'm working with, I don't actually meet face to face. I don't actually shake hands with. Usually, we're having a Zoom call meeting once a month. Is how we connect and do our meetings, and I'll share screens and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yep. For
Yeah,
sure.
that's awesome. The world of internet and Zoom has just made it so globally for everybody. Francois is in Canada, so
Yep.
not that far away. He's still on the same plot of land, if you will, but way up north.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, that for sure. I got clients in Singapore, and New Zealand, and London, England, and Ireland, Canada, US. Like the world is a village now. It's a village. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what I like is that you like to have a niche of the law firm space, and continuing education is something that Josh and I are such advocate of. The day you think you know it all is the day you start to fall. And so we need to continue to learn constantly and invest in ourselves in order to be able to present ourselves better in the marketplace and serve others at higher levels. Then you said that 500,000 to 5 million is your niche. Therefore, people, our listeners that are in that bracket, you need to have Ryan. And Ryan also said, I'm conservative in my approach. So you can be comfortable that if you come into people's businesses, you're not going to liquidate all their assets and make them fall flat. And I like the thing that your business concept is not just contract, but continuous. And if you ask me, only someone who is confident in his ability will go for a continuing contract. People that's not such contract, I'm in and out, and I don't care what happens after, but it shows that you're heart-centered and service-driven. I like that. And then one of my favorite things is says, delegate or become the bottleneck. You need a team to grow, and you're there to help them show with numbers that needs to happen. That's really awesome. Any thoughts on that, Josh?
No, I love that. I love that. Just the compounding effect. And again, being able to, I think Ryan said it a couple times in there, a lot of people are good at specific things. Business throws everyone for a loop, right? I think even people that kind of study business get bottlenecked once in a while. And again, that's where everybody having their strengths in these niche areas, really kind of helps unify people. Even in my space, I'm in insurance, right? And I don't try and do every line of insurance because it's not, I'm not going to be proficient at that, right? I specialize in the criteria, let people do their criteria. And CFO is a very specific criteria. It's just one, it's kind of what would you say? It's the 3 pillars of major business, right? Sales, marketing, and kind of organization overseeing. Is that how you would categorize it, Ryan?
Yeah, I would say so. Really at a basic level, marketing professionals are probably going to scream at me, but really at a basic level, I think you can break business down. Every activity as either sales or accounting. Really, really basic, right? I think
you're right.
You got
if there's no sales, there's no business, no margin, no mission.
Yeah.
So at first you get the sales, then you need to account for it. Because
Yeah.
if it's just blown away and blown away, and where's it going? Then you don't have a business. I agree
Yeah,
with you.
I mean, Josh, I like your categorizations too. I mean, finance is definitely, when you're talking CFO, I mean, you're definitely in the operations section for sure. And yeah, sales, marketing, and operations, finance definitely, falls under the operations side. And
Cool.
yeah, for
No,
sure.
and I agree with you. I think, marketing is a component of sales,
Yep.
right? But at the end of the day, it's the sales that brings in the revenue. The marketing does not. The marketing is a means to get sales, right? But I like that, sales and accounting. We're going to break that down here, and never mind the marketing people that may give you some hard time on that.
And they're including the sales, so that's good. So what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? And we will have, with the information of this podcast, your information will be in the description below. But out of the blue, what websites or how? What's the
Sure,
best way?
absolutely. So probably one of the easiest ways is to type in Ryan Kimler into Google, and you're going to find me on LinkedIn. I am very, very active on LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Then one of the next ways after that, I mean, I'm on Facebook. You can email me, ryan@financialclarityllc.com. And now I've filed a DBA, and I'm going to do business as the Net Profit CFO.
That's a catchy one. Netprofitcfo.com.
Yep, I like
go.
it. Yeah,
I like that.
And I am developing a website on that domain. So soon you will be able to find me at the netprofitcfo.com. You can also find me at financialclarityllc.com. So there's a lot of places you can find me for sure.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Right
and
on.
we'll make sure to have all those links in the description here with the podcast, and then the live after we put it up on YouTube. Awesome. Well, any final thoughts, Ryan, that you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the one final thought that I would throw out there, that I throw out on a lot of podcasts, is just, there is an easier way. I'm sure that there are a lot of business owners out there that probably feel stuck, especially when it comes to their finances. They get stuck, one hire to the next. And just to know, that you're not the only one struggling, and that there's definitely an easier way. And bringing on a financial professional that really knows what they're doing and can really guide you in the right direction can be very, very helpful. It doesn't have to be the scary, your finances and your accounting doesn't have to be the scary part of your business anymore. Getting somebody to help you part-time can really be a game changer, and change the trajectory of your business.
Absolutely. I like it. And for how to become more is, if you want to become more, you got to become more first inside. You got to let go of those fears. And if someone can open or turn on the light in a room that is usually dark and you're afraid to enter that cave, and they turn on the light, next thing you see is that the stumbling blocks that are there are actually stepping stones. But only an expert can help you do that. You do it with finances, we do it with mindset, sales, and insurance as well. And so these are the things that we are indispensable. But you see, there's 3 people on the screen here. For those that see a video, basically, you can't do it alone. You need to reach out to others. And it's okay to say, I can't do it all. It's okay. If you think you're good at what you're doing, guess what? Other people are good at what they're doing. And when we get together, we rise the tide and all the boats rise with it. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Francois. Henry Ford only had a 3rd grade education. He was not, he never said he was the most intelligent man himself, but what he was great at is organization and delegation, right? And he put a team behind him that grew his empire to what we know right today. I mean, it's a classic example. So
Henry Ford was a great sales guy. He says, what color for your cars? Any color as long as it's black.
There you go. I mean, they got to put all the colors together anyway to make black. So there you go.
There you go.
Awesome. Hey, Ryan, thank you so much for participating with us. Appreciate all that you do. And hopefully our listeners can understand that the finance is also a very important part. Let's not do the ostrich and hide our head in the sand and say it's not existing. It is existing. And as you have someone with, I'm coming back to it, I love it, the dashboard scoreboard. It's so much easier. When we look at things, we have a big picture, and then through those monthly calls, you can see where you're at, what you need to change and tweak. And then through that constant ongoing, follow-up that you do with them, enables them to make sure that the trajectory, actually the goal for you is that for them not to be clients of yours fast. So therefore, when they get to the 5 million, they get to the next door, and then they'll tell others about how good you are, and then you'll have a constant flow of business. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you guys for having me. It was absolutely my pleasure today.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Hey, thanks again, Ryan. And thank you, Francois. It's been another great episode, How to Become More on the MVP Cast. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Yes, you guys.